We are definitely late, and I have no excuse because I've been bawling my eyes out and I overslept because I just slept on my tears. And it was majorly because I was watching the shows called Love Against Time, and I'm like, the story is so sad because it's a dating show for people who has the history of having such a disease, and the disease is like cancer. And if you survive those hard time, it's actually really hard to like contain yourself and start living again because of the scars that you have gone through. And I have those moments too when I was going into the darkness and I sacrificed my own sexual, my intimacy, and I'm just become so doubtful about my future, and then I need to retrace back and rebuild whatever I want from this life. And that is really hard. And I have the compassion, the empathy, the sympathy for these people. And I'm just like, it's so sad. I just cry my eyes out. And usually I don't know how to deal with this. Like in the past, I would just bawl my eyes out and I just go through my day and I would still feel sad throughout whenever I remember this. But then I get to a point like this can't be my reality. I can't be so sad all the freaking time because of something that has happened like already a long time ago. So I decided to overcome the situation and eventually get into this idea that why am I being such a crybaby? And I'm like, I don't know. I just feel so sad and that's all that I want to do, cry all the freaking time. So, and this is why I want to share in this live stream because it's such a huge trap in my experience. Is that when you get sad, you just fall into the darkness. You just feel in your own space and you can't get out from it. It's paralyzing to be in this kind of state. So that's what we are going to talk about, how to stop being such a crybaby. I have a note on the side of my screen, so that's why I keep going into the side of the screen. And sometimes when I try to overcome such situation, I go into what I do best, what I already do best. And I also know like you already great at this, is that experience your moment with the scientist eye. Meaning that when you are in your moment, whatever things you want to overcome, in this case that we were talking about, I was just crying so hard and feel so sad and feel betrayed by the reality and feel so sad for whoever is having this experience. And I'm like, in those moments, I already have the indication, the signs, the symptom, all this narrative that is going on. And that's all you need to do is actually when you start working on the things that you try to overcome, stay where you are, feel where you are, and start to narrate with your logical mind. What am I actually experiencing? So I call this phase is your why, because you try to find a reason, you're trying to find the trace of your experience so that you can go forward, move forward, find the exit, and eventually have other things to go on life. And for me, whenever I'm feeling so sad, what I experience is that I have this tendency to feel my sadness, feel overwhelmed, and I eventually just shut it down altogether. Not really solving the problem, not really navigating the situation. I'm just like, okay, I just don't like it. Quit it. I'm really great at that. Rejecting the reality, running away, escaping, whatever you want to call that. Now, in this time of space, it is there, it's not great. It's not healthy. And I understand that because instead of having myself graduated from the situation, I just relapsing over and over and over again because I never get to like solving the problem, like finding the solution and having a blast about I actually overcome that shit. Now, I this is one of the problem of being too one focus minded. Like I'm just like nowhere I want to go and this is not the thing that I want to do, so I just like quit it. That might be helpful if you are in the manifestation period of something else. But if you are in a healing, you are in the problem solving, it's not great. So you need to like stay where you are, start experience the moment in a more productive way, and have yourself go through other things in life. That's one of the why that I have, like finding my reason of why I need to tackle this thing. The second is that my life has always been about helping people. Like everyone that I know is always like less than myself. I have this overconfidence and it's not as nice as it sounds because I'm being so arrogant about my situation. And so for other people, and I just like I have this mission that I want to experience in the next moment, but if I can't contain this darkness myself, if I can't like support like being the pillar for other people to stay strong and feel strong, not performatively, just like I'm instinctively strong. But I know how to get things done. I know how to let the emotion flow and all that stuff. That strong person can hold this dark energy without waving other way. It's just like I'm there for you, and I need to be that person. And me always cry in this in the most saddest point of human life. It's not helping my mission. It's not helping what I want to do in life. So because I have that future, I then start to okay, me stop being a crybaby is actually really important things to tackle, and I need to get to the next step. But also, like, before we go into the next step, start. I want to add this on because I have this overconfidence of my situation because my mind is so resourceful. I am so intuitive and all that stuff. I feel like I know it all, and I have no one else to look up. And I have those time. It's a lot worse than you think. I have a warrior syndrome, but I also like have this arrogance that is so over the top. And I never, when I was a child, I never learned how to lean on anyone because when I was a child, I used to cry a lot, too much to point it out. And my parents doesn't seem to know how to like help me get over this time, and I learned to not lean to anyone. That is also like one of the paradigm why I built such a warrior like syndrome in my own space, and I eventually have this moment where I don't think like anyone else out there can contain my darkness. And so I began the journey with like I got all of the things. I didn't know how to do it, and that's how I become so resourceful. And this moment of me being a crybaby is one of the things that I can't get over, and I don't know why at the time. But then I found out, oh, I'm actually a false strong person. I'm not that strong. Sometimes there are times when I'm just breaking down, and it was just this time. And I'm like, okay. And then I need to relearn how to support myself because no one out there has ever been that person. And just thinking about it is so sad because that was a job for the parents, but my parents never do that for me. So I eventually learned how to lean on myself, but not being so over, what do you call it? Not really like rejecting other people, not really like blocking myself from maybe I can tell this person where I am and all that stuff. So I then learned how to connect with people because of I know that sometimes I'm just not in my best state. That's the last thing. So to sum it up, I have three things. My three whys I want to overcome this thing. The first is that I won't get into the problem. I won't solve the problem that I have. The second is that I have a mission to support people who go through the darkest time of their life. And the third is that I have no one to lean on. So then I start the process of overcoming my crybaby state. Oh boy, it's not that hard actually because when you are stepping into your solution phase, it's actually a lot easier when you already know your why. And that's why I started with the why. The why will help you find the direction of your path. And my list of my solution might not be your way, but you can learn from how I actually found these things. For example, about the I won't get into the problem because I was just too emotional. Like I never learned how to contain my emotion, process it. What I used to learn actually just like, oh, I feel this. It doesn't feel great. I just need to throw it away. So I don't have that process to like sink it sinking in the situation or the emotion that I have. The individualization of my situation is not in the process of me getting out from the emotion. Now, emotion is an important part of human life. If you not have no ability to contain your pain, you will never get out from it because the core thing about being human is actually having a duality. And this duality is enforced by your emotion. Individuation enforced by your emotion. So when you have an emotion coming up, it's okay to feel it. There's nothing wrong with it. You can feel sad, you can feel angry, you can feel frustrated. But at some point, this is something I also have said before, is that you have to let the emotion purify itself to an action that can help you find the best of the situation. Meaning is that if you feel sad, it's okay to feel sad. If you cannot like get out from it in the second, if you cannot heckle yourself in that moment, in that from that sadness, you can like still be in your sadness. There's no need to get out immediately. But there is also a time when you feel sad enough. You need to move to the action period. So the enoughness is the key. Is that there are some people who can feel, but they don't dwell on the emotion, right? And I see myself as someone like I used to dwell a lot, not really moving through the emotion itself. So me having this time of sadness is okay. If I cannot get out from it immediately, it's okay. You can feel it. But then there is a time when I'm feeling myself too much and the dwelling phase is starting. In that moment, I need to stop because if you are in the dwelling of your emotion, you are getting near to an extreme state of feeling yourself. which is the depressive. You are being depressed, you're feeling so like I can't get out from this, you're feeling helpless. That's like the last thing you want to experience. So before you go into that area of experience, stopping yourself, I understand like you have the power to turn the tide, and it was that moment. You have feel enough. Now I learned this and I'm like, oh, I can't get out from my emotion. It's okay. I can feel it. I can cry. I can like show my emotion, and it will be okay. If someone out there have a really negative impression of me because I was doing something, it's fine. I don't need them to be in my life, to stay in my life, because those not my people. And I learned this technique, which is separation. When I'm in this time, I learned to, there are times to feel, there are times to take action. The middle line is when you are doing enough. If you are starting to go into the extreme state, and when I know like, oh, I already feel enough, it's not great, and I'm just like start to narrate how my emotion, what my emotions say to myself. I don't like this, and then I'm just hating this. I hate this. I was so disappointed and all that stuff. All the emotion talk within yourself, within you, is actually important for you to take the next action, because that's the direction that you will take. Now, you need to have those things. Separate yourself, because then if you are still a crybaby, you are like mixing all the two together. Sounds like it cannot be separated, but you can. Start having your time to feel, and also have your time to take action. That's my first way that I found. The next is that sometimes when I hear the story of this tenant, of this participant of the show, did I say already? Love Against Time. The participant of the show, because it's not my pain, it's actually really hard to like help, like stay strong in my own ground without rejecting the other person's experience, but also like not really denying my own life. Like maybe someone out there in Africa is not eating well, but I don't need to feel like I need to block myself from the joy of this life. Like that is actually a different situation. I also have the time when I talk to my friend, not my friend, is his not my friend, my professor in university, and he said something along, well, it's not your pain. I mean, you don't have the same level of pain with the person that you experience, that you connect with. But in that sentence, it's like I need to deny my own reality because I feel so sad. But that's like, but that's not like how I want to do things. Because I feel what you feel as an empath. I feel what you feel. Even though like my feeling is not like how you experience your situation, I still feel what you feel. So having the ignorance to deny my own feeling is not the way. And what I eventually get is that I still use that narrative, is that this journey is not my journey. But I'm not thinking it from like, well, you don't have that life. It's more like thinking this person has walked such a life that it progressed into this reality. I have a life that progressed into this reality. At some point, we are connected in this time. I was watching their shows, Love Against Time, which is the participant with the cancer history. It was so sad, but I'm like, I can still feel, I feel that they have overcome their situation. And even if they don't made it out, it's the progression of life. Sometimes you made it out, sometimes you're not. No, I'm being so strong about it, but I'm not rejecting my own pain, because I know that I can not lift their pain. out of their life because it's like their journey. It's not mine. And that's like the second way that I found the journey. How is this person's life going through? What is the progression? That sometimes we have no space, no container to let the dark, the heavy, the level of density of their experience into ourselves because it's not ours. So the separation exists, but we also understand that there are journeys in life that sometimes people have that is out of our responsibility, out of our thing. Wait a minute, I need to write something. And that's like the second one. And the third one is that something that I already said is that the support. Because suffering is the gift. And I usually say this to my people is that pity won't get you anywhere. So don't, I don't allow a pity party in my space because I just like, it's not my space to take the pain out of your experience. It is for you to catalyze, you use that as a catalyst to alchemize whatever it is that you're having and have yourself rise to an unthinkable level. And I get to a point where whenever I feel pity, it's like the next, it's like you are being kind. It's like the kindest form of sadness, but it's still not great. Like you are still feeling, oh my god, you can't like do this. You cannot have a way out from this. Like I don't think that you can do it and all that stuff. I don't think that you can do it is the pity point of this. And I'm like, I know that you can do it. You don't need my help. You don't need my support. I know that you can do it. Trust yourself. Don't lose that trust. And I hold that narrative. I hold that belief whenever I see someone having a hard time because I need to be that person who believes whatever reality that is possible out there. And if I cannot hold that within myself, I failed my mission because that's what I'm here for. That's what I have trained my life, all my life. And I'm like, okay, I think like this is something that I catalyzed, that I alchemized back in 2022. Because at the time, I cannot get over the fact that the world is still a shit place to live in. Because everyone is just like having this suffering mode over and over and over again. And I'm like, I don't think like these people can do it. I have those thoughts. And I'm like, that thing, that feeling, that level of sadness is not going to help anyone out there. So if you are feeling stuck at something, at least you still know how to feel confident in yourself, how to trust your moment. And that's getting into the next point, which is the holy warrior. I am blessed with the contradiction of my own character. At one point, I'm so sensitive, but I also have the history of a warrior. I used to fight life a lot because I just don't believe this is my reality. I had a hard time feeling grounded because of that. And then I see myself, I don't need to be this fight, to be in full fight about life. Like life has every single things that like the universe wants to help us. Like it's already in this trajectory where I can feel I know what to do. I can feel that I am loved. I can feel that I can trust other people, other stuff, other things in life. Like universe wants to help you. So I stopped being the warrior. But in this moment, I use my warrior like tendency to help me overcome the crybaby, because then I get into the fight mode. I get into feeling angry. I get to feel like I can stand on everything else. And this is like the energy that I'm trying to share with the world, because my Saturn is in Aries. And I just watched a video last night about an astrologer, Deborah Silverman, and she talked about Saturn in Aries. And I'm like, I think like in this period of time when the world is actually changing, I have the same chart, astrology chart, as this world right now. And I'm really fascinating about it. And Aries is known as the warrior. And I'm like, no wonder I have those things when I was younger, because I had my friends bullied by someone, and I was that bodyguard for my friend, and I'm just using my Aries tendency characters to fight for this person. And I thought to myself, why am I using that skill for other people? Why can't I just use that for myself? So now whenever I have this like a crybaby moment, I'm like, separate myself from the emotion when I'm ready, and I start to see the progression of my own life, and I support whatever is happening, knowing that everything's going to be okay. And I use the warrior to move myself to action, because having yourself in the angry state, having yourself in the fight state, help you to move faster. And that's why like I start to find these things to overcome this moment of being a crybaby. And the last thing is that it's something that is a lot more complex than just this word, which is, let me read what for you. I found that when I deprive from my needs, I'm more prone to breaking down. Crying is one of them. Other things are anger, frustration, and doubt. So needs are the way to sustain your balance point. I talk about this in a previous live stream, and I talk about like the flow of your inner world, the flow of your emotion, whatever you want to call it. I just want to say that it's the flow. So there are a middle state, there are the upper state, there are the lower state, and also there are the extreme state. You go into the extreme state, you're not alive. I usually go to the over positive state, which is the higher up. It's not great because whenever I'm there, I'm not grounded enough to feel that I am human. Because ironically, right now, I am human. So if I don't feel like I'm human, I'm neglecting my needs. I am feeling detached from humans. I'm detached from my own experience. I feel alienated from the society. I feel alone. And this is like the extreme positive. When you go into the positive point of your flow, it's good. You can like start to stay there, but you will move right higher and higher and higher, and you start to be unalive. What's great about this is that when you are stay still in the balanced state, but it's so hard because you need to maintain that with the needs. So the needs are things like you need to breathe, you need to drink, you need to eat, you need to sleep, you need to connect. And also like when you are going deeper into those needs, there are also things as how do you eat, how do you actually fulfill your vitamins, how to actually this, how to actually this. So it's a lot more detailed, and that's why I tend to not share this because it's a lot more dense than how I want to say it. But that's one of the things. Like if you are deprived from your needs, you will fall into the negative balance, the negative states, the negative flow of your experience. When you are in here, you start to feel that small friction of your inner world. You feel like you cannot contain other people, energy, you feel like you are feeling rejected and all that stuff. In here, you start to deprave yourself. If you go to the extreme negative out of the flow, this is what I call when you are in the depressive mode, because you start to think, I can't get out from this. I'm so helpless. Like I don't know why I'm here. Like you start to lose your sense of direction, and that's not the great things about life. It's like the suffering that you have been feeling all along. So what I'm saying here is fill up your need, fill up the tank. Like you're playing Sims, you know that there's hearts or maybe like levels. I don't know how the Sims were played, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Those needs to be fulfilled at some point that you feel safe enough to let the positive things to happen. This is like my biggest findings along this journey to stop being a crybaby. But also like other things are, and then like how to cry. This is not on my notes, but I just remember it right now. How to cry, because you need to let yourself, like let the emotion flow without feeling so bad about showing the emotion. I have a tendency to not talk, to just run away, and I began to notice that it's okay to feel it. There's nothing wrong with this. I'm like, okay, I feel sad. I already talked about it, the separation. I feel sad. Okay, I feel sad. And what I really don't like about me being in sadness whenever I become a crybaby is that I don't talk. Because I need to talk. I'm here to talk. And because I lost my ability to talk whenever I'm being a crybaby, I decided to overcome it. And whenever I have this feeling of tears coming out, I feel shy. I feel like, oh my god, this is like something I don't need to show and all that stuff. But eventually, I still need to stay true to whatever I'm going through, and eventually, I'm breaking down. How I actually still cry and talk is the key, because I'm like to start hypnotizing myself. It's okay to cry. I know that you're sad, and because I'm already like so great at the separation, I can feel and I can take action. I allow myself to feel without any judgment, without knowing that anyone out there might have a different way of seeing what I'm actually experiencing, and they might say I'm hypocrite or a liar or whatever it is. But I'm just feeling so sad, and I don't want to take myself out of this, because this is like the gift of being a human. You get to feel your emotion. And if you're not feeling your emotion, I can guarantee that um, you're starting to belong to the group called ETs, because they are in that reality where they cannot feel their own emotion, because they have a different mission than human. But as us as a human, we need to feel our emotion. And I'm like, it's okay to cry. And then and the separation goes deeper. Is that I let my eyes, my mind to cry, but I let the muscle in my mouth to feel so relaxed. So I do, so I can still cry in my own tears. I can still talk in my own tears. It's a really interesting experience. I also like have a different approach. The same approach in a different aspect is that I get to smile with a really, what do you call it? Like I'm smiling, but I'm in tears. Like I'm in that point in life where my life is so hard, but I get to feel bliss. I get to feel peaceful. I get to feel the joy. I get to feel the bliss of life. And that's why like I hold such a complex emotion. I am in tears right now, but I know I can still hold myself in this gratitude and this love and this trust and peace. And I'm just like, I am actually, even though like I'm not tearful, I am actually really in tears inside of my inner reality. That's like one of the ways I do it. Now, I want to talk about something else. Is that when I was in high school, I have, how many minutes have this been? Oh, 35. Okay. When I was in high school, I was so interested in the pseudoscience. So I learned the palmistry, I learned the numerology, I learned the astrology, everything that I can find because I was just that close to that realm. Because I'm also a sensitive, I'm also an empath, and I considered myself as, what to call this, a light worker, like people who actually do the changes in the human race. I consider myself as that. And in one of the book of palmistry that I read, is that this line, can you see it? Like this near your thumb is actually the line of life, the lifeline. And I get to see that your lines here can change. I have several that is minimal, that have minimal change, like here, in here is actually, here, the line here is actually changing, like under my pinky, that the line that goes from here to my pinky here, the line is changing, it's become a lot thicker and all that stuff. It's probably like not as strong of a change, but it's changing. So I also has my lifeline broken down when I was in a depressive moment of my life. I saw it. The I saw it breaking down, like it split into two here. And then when I start to my healing session is actually start to merge back together again. It's a weird anatomy. So I don't know if you want to take it as the truth, but that's how I experience it. And I'm looking at it like, oh, it's already like connected again. And I'm like, okay, I think we have get out from this. But there is one specific sign in your hands that that can indicate that you will have a really heavy disease, like the contestant in the contestant participant in the shows that I'm watching, the Love Against Time, and it was an X symbol in your lifeline. I am telling you this because when I was in high school, one of my friends is actually had this sign, and at that point, I already like almost mastered the ability to read your hands, and I'm like, okay, this is not good. If you have X in your lifeline, it is sad that you have a really uh, like not a great constitute about your body. So you might feel sick. You might have really heavy diseases like cancer. And my friend told me I was diagnosed with cancer when I was in the second, what do you call it? 11? Yeah, 11th grade. And I'm like, what? And I just like, oh my God, that was so sad. I don't remember her name, but I still remember her face to this day. And she was like, and that's just so interesting that you say that. I have, maybe it's not cancer, maybe it's like tumor or something, but it was intense. It was an intense biological anatomy situation. And I'm like, I don't know how many of you have it true like this. So see in your hand, if you have an X in this lifeline here, the line near your thumb, then you might have a really, you might need to go to a doctor. But if you have your line split, like it's broken into two lines. You might have something like what I have, which is like a really detached experience from your body. And I had depression because I was in my moments and it was just not great. And then the next thing is that why do we have more people with cancer? This is something that spiritually speaking, someone out there might choose that path. And it was just part of the work. But I heard this story from this narrative from when I was like so interested in carnivore diets because I want to get into fixing my body, healing my anatomy. And I get to hear this one giant ball rolling from this doctor's mouth. And he said something along, our genetics is actually degrading because more and more people are not living healthy, more and more people live in a toxic environment, and because we have lost the ability to heal ourselves, to repair our own cells, the next descendant from you will have the same anatomy, the same genetic as you, but in the depraved state. And that's why like more and more people, even when they are living healthy, even if they are not doing anything toxic, they can have cancer because we are already in that state where everything is just like too much for us to live. Radiation is always that high, but because our healing system is not on par with that, we are much more in risk to have cancer, to have other disease, to have a really terrible anatomy situation. That's why. And I'm like, that's possible. That's why like children these days say like, you didn't have it as hard as us. And which is like what the older people used to say to the new generation. But then we have it a lot more deficit than you guys in the way that we already being bombarded by this toxic, by this stress, by this uh, deprivation. I don't know if that's the word. I just want to say it like that. But it's like that. So our natural way is drifting so far, like it's already beyond us. But then like there's also people who want to experience this thing. And that's why like more and more people born in this reality and have cancer. So Akashic record wise, spiritually speaking, you might have choose this reality to begin with. And if you are one of those people who have cancer, I just want you to know that do your best. Leave no regret because you have chosen the road, the path, and if it's already in you, start accepting it. I got nothing else to say. I also have the experience with my intimacy being sacrificed to get something that I need to be someone who can hold space for others. And I have accepted that I decided to do that. But also, if you have cancer, if you have something deadly, disease, or whatever, I don't pity you, to be honest, because you have chose. You are choosing to experience that in this lifetime. It's a hard thing to say, but then I want to live this video with something from my gift, which is my psychic gift. And I asked the universe, like, when is the world going to revert back to its original, its natural way of living. And I hear the year. I heard the year, and the universe said 2028. 2028 is not the final destination, but it's like the start. When you, because I can sense like you, the world is actually healing in such a horrendous way. They are healing in a really fragmented way. Like it's not effortless. Like I know that we have the healing system in our own body that can turn on to a degree where it doesn't need our help. But because we have lived in this toxic world, we need to take action to be so aware about our own healing nature. And I asked the world, I asked the universe, when is the time when the universe, the reality of this earth refer back to its original healing system? 2028 is the beginning. Now, when is the end journey? It will be like 200 to 300 to just revert back all of it. We are currently reverting back the financial system, the government system, and all that stuff. How we give out our power, and we already done it in a such a way, but now these days it's a lot more out there, like in front of your face. 2028 is the beginning of how we are doing healing in a different way. I don't know what that means. Maybe like we find a new medical solution that can fix all of it instantly, no matter what disease you have. Maybe we have found a magician who can actually do that for ourselves. Which is there are people who can do that for others. I think, what do they call it? Because they are using our spirit nature to readjust whatever it is that you have. Sometimes they use their gift, like psychic gift or whatever it is, like their sensitivity, and they can see the spirit body of someone, and they can start to readjusting whatever this person's have. And I think you know those people, and you can go to that. But the thing is that no matter what you do, if you are here with the destiny, with the mission to experience the cancer in the full spectrum of it, until you end this life, you exit, then you cannot have anything to help you, because you are here in the participation of making that area of life to its final destination, so that it's never going to experience by other people. And there is a need for more people to experience it, so that the quantum start to jump into a reality where everything is already done. Like you don't need to experience this anymore. Everyone has already invested to find a cure and all that stuff. Like there are more people that need to die in order to that experience to what do you call it? It's just this is such a really strange way to say it, but it's like the way of the quantum. Like more people are invested because there are more people who die because of this thing, and there are more jump in the timeline in the quantum field, because there are more webs of consciousness that people experience, and then that's why people are more invested to find a cure to end the situation. That's like essentially it. I hope I make it out sound okay and logically connected. And the starting point is 2028. When I like count the numerology of the day in 2028, there is a reset. That reset is like 2028 or 2029, and then 2030. It's around that time, like under 2035. Like there's a reset. In that reset, everything resets. How we cure ourselves, how we heal ourselves, how we move in reality, how we actually do everything. Everything starts at zero. But the zero has no burden on it. So we are literally starting where we think we have started before. We just like scratch everything else that we have done because it was contained with this idea of fear of something that's not great or something that's just not supposed to be there. So eventually everything reset, everything in the past was deleted in such a way, and then we start building from there. That's the whole thing. I actually, wait a minute. It's almost an hour. It's fascinating. So I actually thought that I would not get this out today because how late I started. And I'm like, oh, maybe like we can like do it tomorrow, but I'm like, but it's like avoiding the fact, the premise of this channel is that I want to say what is true right now, right now at any seconds, and I just go with the flow and to show, start to share what I want to say today. And I can't believe we are at the 50 minutes, and it's fascinating for me to eventually hit my milestone, but it is difficult. And I said everything that I want to say. This is like our first time doing a full hour of live streaming, and I hope the recording is keeping itself together because I just broke down my internet connection. So, how do you deal with your crybaby? How do you stop being a crybaby? Follow your trace, okay? You'll find your way out. If you need any help, someone out there wants to help you. So, seek out and allow the help to come in. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.